Another episode of Math with Mullins. Today we're looking at slope day 2. Yesterday we talked about how to find slope in a graph or a table, so if you missed day 1, check that one out first. This one we're going to use that slope formula to calculate the slope between 2 points. Excuse me, the first thing we want to know is what is the slope formula. So if you're given 2 points, you're going to be able to use this formula. So slope points could be, your 2 points could be x1, y1, x2, y2. And how you find that is you find the change in y over the change in x still. The only thing different now is that you would just pick y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Right now this seems a little complicated, but as we get into some examples, I'm going to show you a few different ways. Maybe start off to do the strictly y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, but then I'll start to look at what are some easier ways to think about this, okay? So what we want to do here is maybe think about this. This is kind of like a easy step-by-step process. So this one says find the slope of a line that passes through 3, 4, and 5, 8. These are 2 easy questions. So the first thing we're going to do is label our points. This is like the general way of doing this. So I would label with x1, y1. And the reason why I would do x1, y1 is because this is the first set of ordered pairs. And then this set would be the second set. So I would say this is x2, y2. Okay? Then it says substitute the coordinates into the formula. So my formula says m is equal to, that slope, y2 minus y1. Well, y2 is the number 8 and y1 is the number 4. So I'm going to do 8 minus 4 on the top, and then x2 minus x1 would be on the bottom. That's going to be 5, take away 3. Okay, now I calculate your differences or simplify. So 8 minus 4 is 4. And 5 minus 3 is 2, and then I can simplify 4 over 2, and that's going to give me 2, okay? So this is just one way to try it. We're going to try that same way here in just a second. Make sure you've had a time to just kind of see what we did here, and then let's go ahead and try example number 1. So I got some formatting issues here. I'm going to push this 1, negative 2 over, and then let's start with here. So again, if I'm sticking with that same method, I'm going to say this is x1, y1, and then this one will be x2, y2, okay? So I'm going to use my y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to figure out my answer, okay? Let's start with my change in y's. 4 minus negative 1, so 4 minus negative 1. Take notice of this double negative here, okay? Then my x2 minus x1, 3 minus negative 3, all right? The thing you should remember about double negatives, it actually means plus positive. So 4 minus negative 1 actually means 4 plus 1, and that'll give us 5. And then 3 minus negative 3 means 3 plus positive 3, which would give us 6. I cannot simplify 5 over 6 anymore, so that would be my final answer, okay? So here's another one. Maybe pause this one and try this one on your own. When you're ready to check your answers, click play. So again, I'm going to label x1, y1, and then this will be my x2 and y2. So according to my formula, I'm going to do y2 minus y1. This one is negative 2 minus 1. Oops, I want that to be teal. And then my x2 minus x1, that'll be 1 minus negative 1. Okay? Negative 2 minus 1 on the top, that'll give me negative 3. And 1 minus negative 1, or 1 plus positive 1, would give me 2. So my answer for this slope is negative 3 over 2. Okay, let's go on, and this time I'm going to show you maybe a different way to look at it. I'm going to reformat these over here, 1, 5, and 6, 5. Okay, another way to look at this is maybe instead of labeling x1, y1, x2, y2, you then just start focusing on your y's at one time and focusing on your x's at one time. When we first started this, we had an xy table, and you could still plug these into your xy table. So I have negative 2, 3, and then 3, 2. Okay, so I would just find like we did before, the change in y over the change in x. Sometimes because we worked with a table before, it's easier to just see your change in y and your change in x this way, okay? I'm still going to show you plugging it into the formula, how it can still work. My change in y here went from 3 to 2, yes? So that would be a -1. And then -2 changed to 3 by going up 5. So I'm getting a -1 over 5 as my slope. Now if you decided you wanted to do x1, y1, x2, y2, you can. So I would do 2 minus 3 over 3 minus -2. 2 minus 3 is still -1. 3 minus -2 is still 5. I still get -1 over 5, okay? Another method we've seen is you just start with your first y. So this is labeling your y's. And this one probably is the most simple method. I go y minus y. So that's 5 minus 5. And notice I'm going to play follow the leader here. If I started with the first set of y's and minus the second set, I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to start with my first set of x's and minus to my second set of x's. So here's my x's. So that's -1 minus 6. Notice how I did follow the leader, copycat, okay? 5 minus 5 is 0, and -1 minus -6 is -7. So this slope is equal to 0, okay? That means if we plotted these points on my coordinate plane, I would notice a flat left to right line or horizontal line. I want you to pick the method that you think would work best for you here. So again, I'm going to reformat here. 1, -2, and 7, -2. And then you got your first set. So go ahead and pause the video. When you're ready to check it, go ahead and click play. All right, I'm just going to erase what's here, and then we'll get started with that first one. So the first one, I went ahead and just labeled my y's. So 6 to 2. So I'm going to do 6 minus 2. And on the bottom, I'm going to do my x's, 4 minus 4. Now, with this one, you should notice something special. 6 minus 2 is 4, but 4 minus 4 is 0. And anytime you divide by 0, you're going to get an error, which means this slope has to be undefined. Which means I rise 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, but I ran at 0. So that's going to be your up and down slope. That's your up and down slope, or undefined, okay? This next one, I still stuck with doing my y's first and then my x's. So -2 minus -2. Be careful of your double negative, but still write it out. Then I did my x's. Let's do green. 1 minus 7. Notice how I followed the leader. Started with the first set minus the second set. First set minus second. 1 minus 7. 2 minus -2 actually changes to 2 plus +2. That's 0. 1 minus 7 is -6. So my slope is 0. Okay? That is going to conclude our lesson on slope for today. Whether you decided you like to label your x1, y1, x2, y2, whether you decided you like to put it in a table like what we see here, or if you just want to label, hey, I'm going to do y minus y and x minus x, following the leader. Both of those ways work, or all three of those ways work. You just got to find out what's best for your brain. Thanks for tuning in. Hope this video helped you. If it did, give it a thumbs up, and we'll look for you next time when we start graphing some slope-intercept form. Have a great day.